So starting off with lecture 2, trigonometry, right? We did sine theta. Sine theta, as we stated that sine 0 is 0, sine 30 is half, sine 60 is under root 3 upon 2, sine 90 is 1, sine 90 is 1, sine 120 is under root 3 upon 2, and the following numbers. Do you agree to this? Now, if I say that, let's cos 0. If you take out your calculators and write down cos 0, you will have answer as 1. You'll have answer as 1. Then cos 30 will be under root 3 upon 2. Cos 60 will be half. Cos 90 will be 0. Cos 120 will be minus half. Cos 150 will be minus under root 3 upon 2. Cos 180 will be minus 1. This will be minus under root 3 upon 2. Cos 240 is minus half. Cos 270 is 0. Cos 30 is half. Then obviously 330 will be under root 3 upon 2. And then 360 will be 1. So these are the values for cos 0 to 360. So obviously we'll make sure that we make the graph as well according to the values of cos. So to understand the graph, cos theta graph. To understand the graph, you need to understand that we need to have axis. One defines 90 degree, 180, 270 and 360 because one cycle ends at 360. One cycle ends at, your maximum number is 1 and the minimum number is still what? Minus 1. Knowing the fact that cos 0 is here. So cos 0 is what? 1. Cos 0 is what? Cos 90 is what? 0. Cos 180 is minus 1. Cos 270 is 0. And 360 is 1 again. So that means if I draw a graph, my graph will go like this. It will be curved from 180 moving towards 270 and the graph spans till this 360. So if you consider seeing your sine graph, which was here, right? So if you note that from 0 to 180 in the sine graph, from 0 to 180 in the sine graph, there was positive values, right? From 180 to 360, it is negative values. So considering this, you need to understand cos graph shows 0 to 90 is positive, 90 to 270 is, and 270 to 360 is. So if I draw the quadrants, so quadrants will give me a good idea of where the cos will be positive and negative. This is your which quadrant? First quadrant. This becomes your second quadrant. This becomes your third quadrant. And this becomes your fourth quadrant, right? So cos is positive in the first quadrant. Cos is negative in the second quadrant. Cos is negative in the third quadrant. But cos is positive in the fourth quadrant. Now, knowing this, you should also agree that this quadrant shows 0 to 90 degree. Do you agree? This quadrant shows 90 to 180. This quadrant shows 180 to 270. And this shows 270 to 360. Now, why this is important? Because sometimes the question gives me the value in positive, and sometimes the question gives me value in what? Negative. So in respect to that, if I say just like that, cos theta is equal to half. Cos theta is equal to half. So can I say theta is equal to cos inverse half? Do you agree? Theta is equal to cos inverse half. What is the value of the cos inverse half? That is 60. So can I say this will be my basic angle? As I repeated in the last class, that in your O levels, you used to give your only one answer. But since in A levels, what you have is you have your range from 0 to 360. Since you have range of angle from 0 to 360, you will have how many answers for negative and positive? Two answers. That means from 0 to 360, in total, you'll have 4 answers. But positively, you will have 2. Negative, you will have 2. So considering this, can I say that I have a basic angle of what? 60. But is it positive or negative? It is positive. And cos is positive in the first quadrant and in the last quadrant. Cos is positive in the first quadrant and in the... And remember, I told you that the quadrant, your basic angle will be horizontal to the x-axis. So your basic angle is 60. And here as well, it is 60. When you will calculate, you will go anti-clockwise because normally your degree is from 0 to what? 360. So if I go anti-clockwise, my first answer is 60. And the second answer should be what? It will be 360 minus 30. Because the entire rotation is 360. But obviously I need to remove 60, right? So 360 minus 60, I'll be what? 60 and 300. Are you with me on this? Good. So similarly, if I write down an example considering cos okay. So considering that theta is equal to what? 60, which is your basic angle. Now, giving you an example, that is cos theta is equal to negative half. Cos theta is equal to, as I said, that negative will never be considered when you are taking your basic angle out. Your negative, it will not be considered when taking your 360 minus 60. Thank you. So this will be what? 300. So cos theta is equal to negative 1 upon 2. This should be what? Theta is equal to cos inverse 1 upon 2. Do you agree? Still the basic angle is what? Still the basic angle is... But now what you're going to do is you need to understand that you need to have what? Negative quadrants. What do you need to have? So negative quadrant, cos negative is in the second and in the third. Do you agree? So can I say your basic angle is 60 and here as well your basic angle is 60. So this should be, your first angle will be from here, from this point till the point of basic angle line, which will be 180 minus 60. Do you agree? So your first answer is 120. Your second answer will be from here till the basic angle line. So this is what? 180 plus 60, which means 240. That means your two angles are 120 and 240. And if we even look at that, Your half when positive, your answer was 60. Your half when positive, your answer was. Your negative half, your answer was. And your negative half, your answer is 240 here. See, this thing is 240. This gives me what? 120. That's the way that we calculated right now. Have I made myself very clear? Any issues, concerns, परेशानी कुछ भी है सवाल उठा सकते हैं, पूछ सकते हैं. Okay, moving forward. Now let's do this. Cos theta is equal to -2. Cos theta is equal to -2. Acha, looking at this question, will you solve this? You will not be solving this. Right as soon as you see that the value is, your maximum value should be 1, your minimum value should be -1. So if the value crosses 1 or the value goes less than -1, you will end up having what? Math error. So there can be two possibilities as well sometimes. There can be two possibilities as well. Sometimes there can be two equations as well, because normally you will be leading yourself from these point to the equations, quadratic equation. मतलब ये यहाँ से आप कहाँ मूव करेंगे? क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन के थ्रू सॉल्व करेंगे. और क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन में क्या आता है? मिडिल टर्म ब्रेकिंग आती है. और मिडिल टर्म ब्रेकिंग में क्या आते हैं? दो फैक्टर आते हैं. तो इसके अंदर दोनों फैक्टर्स आएंगे. क्या पता एक आपके पास ज्यादा हो या कम हो, तो उसमें क्या आ जाएगा? मैथ एरर आ जाएगा. पर दूसरा आपके पास जो फैक्टर होगा वो सॉल्व हो रहा होगा. हैव आई मेड माय सेल्फ वेरी क्लियर? कोई प्रॉब्लम है? अच्छा जी, 90 का ग्राफ बहुत सुकून से बनाता हूँ. 90 के ग्राफ में इतना ज्यादा और 10 के ग्राफ में इतना ज्यादा टेंशन होती नहीं है. ठीक है, टेक आउट योर कैलकुलेटर. इफ यू सी 1090 विल बी मैथ एरर and 10 to 70 will also be math error. Do you agree? 10 0 is 0. 10 180 is also 0. And 10 360 is also 0. Please keep checking the answers. Am I right? Good. Okay. Can you calculate 1060? 1060 is under root 3. And 1030 is under root 3 upon 3. Do you agree? Now, can I say that calculate 10 120? Negative under root, and calculate 10 150. Under root 3 upon 3. Moving further, can we say 10 210 is under root 3 upon 3 again? And this is under root 3. Do you agree? And then this should be minus under root 3. And this should be minus under root 3 upon. Do you agree? Okay. Now, most importantly, there are other figures that I would also want you to consider is calculate 1089. Calculate 1089. Please concentrate. That is 1089 is 57 point. Let's take it at 57.3. And 1091 is negative 57.3. बल्कि एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू बता दें 57.28. So let's take this as 28. Okay. The other value will be 10. 270 was math error, right? So let's take 269. Your answer will be again 57.228 and 10 271. Your answer will be again minus 57.28. Do you agree? Okay. What does this show? This shows that once you take a value before your math error were coming at two places, right? The cycle ends from 0 to 360, but math error came at Two places. The two places are, one is 90, the other one is 270. We took value before the math error, we took value after the math error. What difference did we see? One is the extreme positive, the other one is extreme. That means that this before your math error, you will have extreme positive value. And once you are incurred with math error, you will start off with extreme negative value. So the graph of tan theta, so graph of tan theta will be something like this. Let's say this is 90, we have 180, we have 270, moving further till. Now, in this graph, your maximum and minimum value is not 1 and minus. Your maximum and minimum value will be defined through what? This is 90, this is what? 270. Do you agree? So the graph goes from 0 and it moves up till 57 point something. So I'll be going as what? Infinity till 57.28. That means from 91, it starts from here. It goes till what? 0. And then it's 0 till what? Again, it is not touching the red line. Please note, there's a gap between them, right? Similarly, from 270, the graph goes again, moving till what? 360. So this shows what? This is the graph for what? Tan theta. Acha, what does tan theta defined as? 0 to 90, it is? This will be, and this will be. That means your four quadrants, again, if we define it through the four quadrant that we have, your first quadrant shows what? Your first quadrant shows positive 10, right? Then your second quadrant shows negative 10. Then you have positive 10 again. Then you have is negative 10. So that means your four quadrant, first one is positive, second one is negative, third one is positive, and the fourth one is negative. You already know that this is your first quadrant, this is your second quadrant, this is your third quadrant, this is your fourth quadrant. This shows 0 to what? 90. This shows 90 to what? 180. This shows what? 180 to 270. This shows 360. Do you agree? Any issues? Okay, now you need to understand all the three quadrants that we did. All the three quadrants that we did. In the first quadrant, when we did sine, using the basic angle concept, your first answer here is theta. Your first answer here is, for the second quadrant, what you do is 180 minus theta. For second quadrant, what you do is 180 minus theta. For your third quadrant, what you do is 180 plus theta. And in the last quadrant, what you do is 360 minus theta. Do you agree? Similar case is with cos. Similar case is with cos. What we do here is, your first quadrant is theta. Your second is 180 minus theta. This is 180 plus theta, and this should be 360 minus theta. Similar way, when we did the last part, here even your first quadrant is theta. Your second quadrant needs to be 180 minus theta. Your third quadrant needs to be 180 plus, and the last quadrant needs to be 360 minus theta. So are you guys with me on this? Do you have any issues, concerns? So Knowing the fact that we did sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, graphically we got to know that where the quadrant lies positive and where the quadrant lies negative. So in the last, just the revision point to solve the quadrants, can we say that this is your quadrant, this is your first, this is your second, this is your third, this is your fourth. Your first quadrant shows 0 to 90. Your second shows 90 to 180. Then it shows 180 to 270. And the last shows 270 to 360. Your answer in the first one is theta. The answer in the second one is 180 minus theta. Here your answer is 180 plus theta. And here your answer is 360 minus theta. Then in the last thing, you need to understand that sine, cos, tan, all are positive in the first quadrant. Sine, cos, tan, all are positive in the first quadrant. Then sine, cos, tan. Only sine is positive, cos and tan is negative in the second quadrant. Then what do we have? Sine, cos and tan. Then we have is tan is positive, sine and cos is negative. Then we have sine, cos and tan. We need to understand sine is negative, tan is negative, only cos is positive. So we need to understand the quadrant concept very carefully because it comes under all the questions. Now, considering this thing, that you know the basic concept of basic angles, your question will be linked to identities as well. Your question will be linked to identities. There are two basic identities in this. How many identities? Two basic identities. One is sine square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1. जहां पे आपको साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा नजर आ गया, आप उसकी जगह 1 लिख सकते हैं. A2 में आप 1 की जगह साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा भी लिखते हैं. देयर कैन बी अ पॉसिबिलिटी AS में भी आपको 1 की जगह साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा लिखना पड़ जाए कहीं पे. बट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट्स द रिवर्स प्रोसेस. जो एक्चुअल है वो क्या है? साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा. ज्यादातर आपको क्या सब्स्टिट्यूट करना पड़ेगा? एज 1. तो इसमें हम थोड़ा आगे पीछे भी कर सकते हैं ना, विच मीन्स ये क्या हो जाएगा? साइन स्क्वायर थीटा कैन ऑल्सो बी 1 माइनस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा. दैट मीन्स दिस आइडेंटिटी कम्स फ्रॉम हियर. दैट मीन्स कहीं पे अगर मुझे साइन स्क्वायर थीटा नजर आ गया तो आई कैन इजीली राइट दैट एज 1 माइनस व्हाट. देन वी ऑल्सो हैव कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा. कहीं पे मुझे cos स्क्वायर थीटा नजर आ गया तो मैं क्या लिख सकता हूं? 1 माइनस साइन स्क्वायर थीटा. तो ऑब्वियसली साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस cos स्क्वायर थीटा इज इक्वल टू व्हाट? 1. साइन स्क्वायर थीटा इज इक्वल टू 1 माइनस cos स्क्वायर थीटा इज इक्वल टू 1 माइनस. रिपीट दिस. साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस cos स्क्वायर थीटा इज इक्वल टू साइन स्क्वायर थीटा इज इक्वल टू cos स्क्वायर थीटा इज इक्वल टू. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. The second identity is tan theta, which is sin theta upon cos theta, which is just sin theta upon. In this identity, you cannot change the places. Only tan theta is equal to what? Sin theta upon cos theta. Tan theta is equal to. Yes, there can be a possibility that you can have tan square theta, which will be साइन स्क्वायर थीटा अपॉन कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा, विच मीन्स अगर टेन थीटा है तो यू कैन राइट इट डाउन एज साइन थीटा अपॉन कॉस थीटा. इफ यू हैव टेन स्क्वायर थीटा यू कैन राइट इट एज साइन स्क्वायर थीटा अपॉन कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा. In your AS you only have these two identities to be taken place or solve your questions. The other basic identities you should be knowing is your O levels 1, जो कि A plus B whole square है, which is A square plus 2AB plus A minus B square can be opened as A square minus 2AB plus, and the third one is A square minus what? Which is A minus B and A plus B. So these are the three identities from the previous O-level thing that you will be using in your AS as well in the trigonometry. Basic angle is your what? Sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to what? 1. Tan theta is equal to sin theta upon cos theta. Tan square theta is equal to sin square theta upon cos square theta. Identity is 1 plus b square. A plus b square is a square plus 2ab plus b square. A minus b square is a square minus 2ab plus b square. A square minus b square will be a minus b and a plus b. If you see, that proves the identity 1 plus sin theta, and it says 1 upon cos theta minus tan theta. Equivalent to what? That is cos theta. That means you need to prove your left hand side, which is identical. Whenever you have three signs, that means three lines, that means you need to prove the identity. Your left hand side should match with the right hand side, or your right hand side can be matched with the left hand side. But you will always open up the side where you feel that you have more working. जहां पर ज्यादा वर्किंग हो वहां वही चीज ओपन करना, ठीक है, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली वो फिर आपके लिए आसान हो जाता है दूसरे में लेके आने के लिए. सो इफ आई सी कॉस थीटा का मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ? कॉस थीटा का मैं कुछ भी नहीं कर सकता. कॉस थीटा की कोई आइडेंटिटी भी नहीं है, कॉस स्क्वायर की आइडेंटिटी है. डू यू एग्री टू दिस, राइट? क्या 1 प्लस साइन थीटा की कोई आइडेंटिटी है? नहीं है, क्योंकि 1 प्लस किसकी है? साइन स्क्वायर थीटा. वो भी क्या हो जाएगा? माइनस की है, ठीक है. साइन स्क्वायर थीटा प्लस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा. साइन स्क्वायर थीटा क्या हो जाता है? 1 माइनस कॉस स्क्वायर थीटा, और 1 माइनस साइन स्क्वायर थीटा. तो इसका मतलब ये तो प्लस, इस पे कोई आइडेंटिटी अप्लाई, बट आई कैन राइट इट डाउन जैसे है. हेयर आई कैन डू वन थिंग, 1 अपॉन कॉस थीटा, ये तो ऐसे ही रहेगा, बट टेन थीटा कैन बी चेंज टू साइन थीटा अपॉन. डू यू एग्री? नाउ कैन आई से 1 plus sine theta, 1 minus sine theta? Can I say both the LCMs are same? So this should be 1 plus sine theta, and this should be 1 minus sine theta upon cos theta, because obviously this is also being multiplied. So 1 plus sine theta, 1 minus, can I use the identity 1 minus sine square theta? 1 minus sine square theta. That means that ये हो जाएगा upon cos theta. This will be known as cos square theta upon cos theta. Do you agree? Because 1 square is 1 minus sine square theta. If you note, 1 minus sine square theta was what? So what I did was, I substituted 1 minus sine square theta as cos square theta upon. So cos theta is cancelled out with. So you are left with what? Which is proved. So you will be asked by the examiner to prove the identities. Now this is of 4 marks. June 2001, paper 1, question number 4. Have I made myself very clear?